started talking about the end of June, like tomorrow bringing thunder soon. People packing all they own, wondering if they're safe at home. Children asking what did we do. Everybody singing the June 30th blues. Who lights the fire? Who fans the flame? Every year somebody finds a stranger left to blame. I got the June 30th blues. Tell me, what do we got to lose? Neighbors turning into enemies, blinded by the angry news. Love can't grow where hatred rules. Don't let fear become the fuse. Stand together, don't divide. No more June 30th blues. Some are heading for Nigeria, some to Ghana, hoping peace is nearer. Zimbabwe, Malawi, Mozambique too, searching for a sky that's calm and blue. But working people all bleed the same, trying to feed their family name. The struggle isn't where they're from, it's deeper than the beating drum. Don't blame the worker on the street, trying to earn it on his feet. Ask who emptied out the chest, who stole tomorrow from the rest. Greedy hands and broken trust, promises left turning into dust. Truth don't hide behind a disguise. Open up your heart and eyes. I got the June 30th blues. Tell me, what do we got to lose? Raise your voice but keep the peace. Don't let justice come unglued. Hope is stronger than the fuse. Love is stronger than the news. Stand together side by side. No more June 30th blues. Will we make it through the night? Only if we choose what's right. Different faces, one heartbeat, walking down the very same street. Let tomorrow bring new light, not another needless fight. One people, one land, one dream to choose. No more June 30th blues.
Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hey folks, welcome back to the program. Sorry about the delay, but the disrespectful lunatic who is writing to me continues to write. I happen to see that he keeps going on. Accused me of doxing. I don't think people know what the word dox means. Nobody was doxed. That's a username. I didn't share an address or a phone number or place of employment or any personal details about that jackass. Still writing to me. Yeah, anyway, wow. You know, I'm just going to keep publishing his comments if he wants to keep that. Well, nobody really cares, but anyway, I know you're watching right now. Knock it off, loser. Nobody said anything about you. Your feelings are hurt because Rob Hersoff doesn't give two shakes about your sorry little pathetic life, and you've been rude and disrespectful, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So anyway, yeah, there's a fair number of South Africans, unfortunately, that Heidi says, "Oh, feel bad for Theo." Yeah, I don't feel bad for the guy. He's an ass, and he has been an ass for a long time. You know, dickweeds like this think that I owe them my time as if I'm their sibling or I'm a family member or I work for these losers. I don't. And they're tone deaf. I still find it funny that people call this a refugee channel, number one. Number two, I find it funny that people talk about how I do everything about for Connors. No. How in the world How in the world do people reach those conclusions? I do things for people, for veterans in America, for refugees who've come here, not just from the U.S., but from other countries as well, for human beings. And I do a lot for South Africans. But no, it's all about Afrikaner. No, it's not. It's not. It's, and so like the crybaby coloreds who left the program, that's not coloreds. That's not coloreds. That's the crybaby coloreds who left the program because their feelings were hurt because they couldn't handle, like an adult, a conversation that was taking place. And then they lied to me and said that somebody said this. They didn't tell me who it was. They told me they said the K word. No one said the K word. Then they said this. Then they said that. And then finally, like, oh, it was written backwards. It was spaced out. Well, that's not what you said. Anyway, like a bunch of little babies, they left the channel. You know what? Whatever. You know what? If there's 3 people here, great. If there's 3,000 people here, fantastic. I really don't have time for pathetic losers who want to keep acting like this. You help people, you bend over. Yeah, Cool Beans. No, Cool Beans. You never stooped to that level. You never went to that level. No, I didn't see you go to that level. If you went to that level, you got a free pass. No. You look. You're under a lot of pressure. I get it. Person's under pressure. I presume that what happened was that the person, I mean, I don't understand this. It's like the guy in Texas, who somebody in his family asked me to contact him. I did, and he was an asshole about it. He's like, I'm like, dude, sorry to bother you, but your fucking family member asked me to contact you. They gave me your number. You don't want me to talk to you? Fine. I don't need to waste my life talking to you. I didn't say any of that to him. So then he starts writing to me out of the blue. Why aren't you talking to me? No, we got fraud going on down here. I'm like, who the hell is this? It's weeks later. So I write back to him. I didn't say that either. I write back to him, like, how can I help you? Blah, 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 blah. And then in the middle of the night, he sends me, he called me at 11, or he sent me 8 voice messages, long ones too, about a whole bunch of nonsense. Like I have an hour to sit and listen to some person I don't know in Texas, going on about stuff and telling me how he's this, that, and the other. And then he calls me at 11:48 when I'm sick. I'm laying down on the couch trying to rest. 11:48 night. And then gets all bent out of shape. And then I said, look, this is what's going on. And then he writes a polite note back and says, oh, all right, then I guess we can chat tomorrow. And I gave him a thumbs up. Then the next day at 5 o'clock, after I've been working all freaking day from 6 a.m. to 5 o'clock, I look at my messages and he's like, oh, I guess you don't have time for me. I'm not paying you. Like, what the hell is your problem, man? You promised you were going to call me. I never promised anything. I sent him a copy of the screen. His message. I guess we can chat tomorrow. That doesn't mean I never promised to call the guy. People are freaking insane, man. They're absolutely batshit crazy. You know what they're going to do is they're going to make it so that the people, honest people that want to talk and share things, you aren't going to hear from me anymore. I'm just going to take off WhatsApp and never use it again. I mean, this and just block my email account. I mean, this is ridiculous. Babies, crybaby, pissy little whiny little bitches. Yeah, I said the word. Get the kids out of the room. No, Heidi, but it's a lot of them. It's not 1 or 2. They're just multiplying like freaking cockroaches. Oh, are you listening, Johann Sloot? I called the white people cockroaches. Ah, ha, 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 you moron. Another one out there. By the way, people wear bathrobes. Be careful what you say. Fire and brimstone coming down on you. You better hire an attorney. That's all I got to say. And I got nothing to do with it. Oh, Cool Beans, you were disrespectful. You didn't listen to what I said, but your disrespect wasn't on the level of this person. So stop it. Yeah, anyway. So, no, the reason I mentioned, the guy's still writing me at this hour. I had like 35 new messages. Let me read some of them here, unless he's deleted them. I'll make sure your president knows. Call me a C word any day. At least I don't dox people. This is what people call refugees who face discrimination, persecution, and unemployment. I'm no left-winger troll. You can video call me anytime I have connection to prove this, so you've been informed. Those commenting that video using my name only makes you look bad in the long run. Best you do what's right and apologize to me, or I'll be forced to defend myself some way. What is that, a threat? Best you make a public apology. I think you need to make a public apology, Kiro. Best to delete that video or I'll be forced to question your influence in the refugee program. You can question whatever you want. You claim you've never said anything offensive toward me. You claim the last message you sent was in late May, which you ignored, which is about Rita Tlaibia, but don't mention I was giving you, but admit using it all the time. What? I didn't say use it all the time. I tried showing you the difference between black and black and what color it's all about. Look at what I sent you. And have enough respect to reply. I sent you several messages. Oh, fuck you. You attention-crying little baby. Screw you. Time to listen to your whiny crap. I got thousands of messages from people that actually matter. It seems you find offensive people correct me. Correct me. Dude, you used the C word. Learn what the wall says about private messages going public without consent. Yeah. Okay, explain this. Well, I didn't dox you, buddy. You're just a loser. And you have no right to be so insulting. No right to be so insulting. Simple as that. You insulted me in a vile, repulsive manner. You want to talk about the law? I'll take you to the South African Human Rights Commission, loser. I'll take you to the South African Human Rights Commission. Give him a real job. Insulting my dignity. No, let him keep digging his grave, Werner. No, you don't block people like this. You let them keep digging their graves. I have got a folder this thick. Right here. This is from the VFW. These are text messages from a loser who stole money from us. She didn't steal money, but she worked unauthorized while I was out of town, and people didn't stop it. The manager, who's a loser, got fired, didn't stop it. But these are messages this person sent, text messages, 18 pages of text messages this person sent to the manager. The manager said, I'm going to block her. I said, don't block her. She's digging her own grave. When she filed a false allegation against our post to the state, saying that we fired her unjustly. There's no such thing in Pennsylvania. It's an at-will employment state. But nonetheless, the internal affairs for the state came down, all full of fire and brimstone, piss and vinegar. Oh, this post is out of control. You treat your employees badly. You mistreat them. I'm like, excuse me. What are you talking about? The entire board was there. And by the way, this meeting went very poorly because the guy who came down came from like 3 hours away. He said, I need to be down here on this day. Well, first off, I don't work for you. I'm a volunteer. But I rearranged my schedule. I was broadcasting until 3 p.m. I told him, I'm broadcasting until 3 p.m. I can't possibly get there before 3 p.m. I can come after that. So he heard what he wanted to hear. He heard that I would be there 3 p.m. I never said that. So I got there at about 3:45. Oh, he was all pissed. Everyone else was there. They're all waiting on me. I apologized profusely. But that's because of their stupidity, not mine. They arrived 45 minutes early, not me. So he's all full of piss and vinegar. Then I pulled out the letter, the termination letter that we gave her, and detailed all the things she did, burning us $8,700 of overtime unauthorized. We had to pay her because she worked the hours, putting us in debt, and then opening an account with another distributor, which she's not authorized to do. She's a freaking cook. And that account cost us $1,600 and a debt collection. We avoided the debt collection. $10,000 she cost us. And then she makes a bogus allegation. No, let these people dig their own graves. Let them keep sending the messages. He wants to run his mouth and threaten me. He's already threatened me twice. Threaten me, buddy. Threaten me. You think I don't have lawyers in South Africa, you loser? Go ahead. Threaten me. You think you're like a politician and can threaten me? He's getting his day too. Keep it up. Keep digging your grave. I'll take you to the South African Human Rights Commission. The Equality Court for undermining my dignity. 18 pages of text messages. And the manager was going to turn this off. Without this, we'd have had no evidence about the conduct of this loser. Like that loser. Let them dig their own grave. This is why I never send emails when I'm angry. I read them. I put them in Word. I type them up. Oh, that's nasty. Then I save it. I come back the next day. Whoa, that doesn't reflect well on you. Because those things are subject to discovery in a court case. Stupid people do stupid things. Go ahead, loser. Go ahead. Keep digging your grave like this fool did. That case was dismissed instantaneously, and the VFW kicked that person out of the VFW because they're a liar, just like this guy is. So keep digging your graves. I'm not putting up with these losers anymore. You call and insult me, I'm just going to start revealing who you are. Revealing who you are. And instead of giving people little nicknames because they're disrespectful, like bathrobe people, I'm just going to start calling them out for their slander and defamation. Stupid people. Stupid people. Stupid people. Well, there is no respect, Charles. Who the hell these people think they are? You know, at some point, look, again, you know, I don't walk around wearing my rank on my collar or thinking I'm more special than anybody else. Nobody's more special than anybody. Hey, Strong Boy. Welcome. Watch the video, Strong Boy. Watch the video. And that's just the start. Since then, he's threatened me twice, and he's used the word again. Yep. Yeah, no, anyway, so, yeah, I'm done playing these games with these people. You know, I don't, we all come out of the womb the same way unless you're cesarean. Otherwise, you come out the canal. We're all human beings. Nobody's more special than anybody else. You're not born more special than anybody else. Someone has to nurse you. Someone has to change your nappies. Someone has to clean you. Someone has to clip your nails. Someone has to teach you right from wrong. You must be raised. You become an adult, then you're responsible for your own behavior. Rising to be a monarch doesn't make you more special than me. Being a street cleaner doesn't make you any less special than me. It's the content of your character and your actions that make you who you are. And that's what matters. And what happened in this society? Look, I'm 59 again this year. We'll say that again. Whatever happened to respect for your elders? Whatever happened to respect for people who are older? Whether the person's older than me or not. When I started my channel 6 years ago doing these broadcasts, I had people in their 60s and 70s who respectfully called me South Africans. Out of respect for who I was and for the way I presented myself, the way I conducted myself, and for my content, as well as the fact that I'm a retired colonel. They showed respect. At some point, I'm going to pull out my, hey, I'm an old guy and I'm a colonel. So sit down, shut up, and be quiet. Yeah, Vit Cunt. That's what it was last time. You know, Vit Cunt. The white side. All right, let's get to the news. You didn't come here to hear this whining nonsense from this guy. So, all right, cool. Anyway. The guy's still typing right now. Obviously watching this. Dude, you know, you can type faster if you release that hand. You release that hand, you know, the one that's keeping all the blood from reaching your other head. All right, let's get to the news. You got the attention you want. You're going to get more attention. Keep threatening me. There are lawyers that watch this program. They must be laughing right now. They must be laughing right now. All right, here we go. Well, June 30th is come and gone, but it's not over, folks. It's not over. It is not over. And it wasn't the nothing burger that we thought it might be yesterday as it unfolded. It actually became something as darkness fell, which is what I said was going to happen. Once the light's gone and once the cops and the security firms, private security firms pull back, things change. Police arrested more than 900 people around the country during the xenophobic protest. Of 120 marches, 108 were peaceful, while 12 required police intervention. 12 violent protests. Just a normal day in South Africa. More than 900 people arrested during Tuesday's nationwide anti-migrant protest. Of the 120 marches, 108 were peaceful, and 12 required police intervention, said Deputy National Police Minister or Commissioner Thobela Mosekile. One person was shot dead late Tuesday in Joburg's Alexandria Township, where residents were looting spaza shops owned by foreign nationals. Police reinforcements were deployed across 5 of the country's 9 provinces, while soldiers were sent to Joburg's inner city Hillbrow neighborhood, where 2 people were injured in the shooting. Durban police opened an inquest into the death of a foreign national who allegedly jumped from the 8th floor of a building on the eve of the protest, believing he was being targeted. Wow. In the Eastern Cape, 229 people alone in the Eastern Cape were arrested. Wow. 28 marches there. Look at all those fit cops, man. These guys could really win a fitness test, couldn't they? Not. Eastern Cape police arrested more than 200 undocumented foreigners and looters on Tuesday as South Africans joined nationwide xenophobic protests. Police confirmed 28 marches were recorded around the province with 229 arrests in total. South Africans must stay in their lane, says Lieutenant General Mosekile. Does anybody take her seriously? Does anybody take her seriously? I mean, honestly, did you watch her press conference on June 29th? Carrying a weapon is a crime. You will be arrested. No traditional weapons, no pangas, no knob carries. Those are weapons. What do we see in Durban? Thousands of knob carries and pangas. Well, no pangas. I didn't see pangas. Thousands of knob carries. Nobody got arrested for that. Nobody got arrested. Speaking back acts of criminality linked to the protest, she said some people sought to exploit the situation were identified and dealt with by law enforcement. Not really, not in Germiston. The majority of those arrested were illegal foreigners and people looting. Overnight reinforcements were deployed to Gauteng, Eastern Cape, KZN, Free State, and Western Cape. Most arrests apparently occurred in the Western Cape, which is the quietest place. That's fascinating. So they probably went and used the excuse to hunt down illegal aliens instead of getting the criminals that were attacking people. These arrests demonstrated law enforcement agencies were not merely present, they were proactive, disciplined, and effective. Really? We're that every day. 82 people murdered in South Africa every day. Cape Flats is a war zone. We're that every day. Every day. Every day. Where are they at? We remain vigilant. We remain prepared. No, you don't. 160 million rand is gone. Now what are you going to do? What are you going to do Thursday? They're going to be back out Thursday. What are you going to do? Well, at least according to Jacinta Nkabisi Jonas. Oh, sorry, wrong Nkabisi. Nkabisi Zuma. Marchers broke into homes, stole money, and left the 3-year-old twins terrified. What began as a peaceful march in Joburg descended into chaos by late afternoon. But that's not what the police commissioner said. A group of marchers that the News 24 journalists joined grew increasingly aggressive as the hostiles made their way to Yeoville, about 2 hours after marching through the city center, Braamfontein, Hillbrow, and then Yeoville. They are part of a nationwide xenophobic protest on June 30th, the date they told people to get out of the country, the terroristic threat to get out. Look at how these people are living horribly. It was the marchers who arrived in the street in Yeoville, and the situation spiraled out of control. The journalists witnessed them forcing a steel gate open to gain access to one of the homes. They claimed the people who had thrown stones at them had fled the house. Once inside the property, they began breaking windows and looting items from the property. Then moved to the next house there. Windows were smashed. Victims of the year would recount later on. Yeah, no. So there you go. Oh, yeah, peaceful my ass. Peaceful my ass. Still terrorizing. These are domestic terrorists. They're vigilantes. They have no business on the streets. Wrong place, the wrong time. An Alexander family mourns a young man shot dead after the march. Anybody that was out on the street, unless they had a job they had no choice but to go to, you have to question why they were out. 21-year-old Alexander man, Sifasile Mleni, was shot dead, allegedly by security guards during looting of 2 shops hours after the march. His sister claimed he was accompanying a friend when security guards opened fire and he was shot. Why was he out while looting was going on? I mean, he didn't deserve to die, but why was he out? I'm not trying to blame the victim. I'm just saying, what the hell was he doing out? Why were you out, man? You should not have been out on the street. You should not have been out in the street. My brother wasn't looting. He's not a thief. He was at the wrong place, wrong time. Why was he there? I mean, the whole country knew this was happening. Dude, I'm sorry. I feel bad, but that's, man. Bloemfontein's deputy mayor's husband arrested as 28 undocumented foreigners found his guest house. The deputy mayor of Bloemfontein was housing 28 illegal aliens. Philip Odili, arrested after more than 28 undocumented foreigners were found in his Bloemfontein guest house. He faces charge of aiding and abetting undocumented foreign nationals under the Immigration Act. His wife, Deputy Mayor Lalama Titi Odila, faces questions about what she knew about her husband's alleged activities. More ANC corruption. The very people charged with getting illegals out of the country are housing them and making money off of them. You see why there's 6 million illegals in South Africa? It's because people profit from it, folks. People profit from it. ANC Deputy Mayor of Bloemfontein. Maunong. Complicit. Husband complicit and arrested for housing 28 criminal alien invaders. Oh, my guy. Wow. Well, it would have been much worse were it not for private security and the Amazulu king. The king provided a vital shield against lawlessness. Well, his words did it. I don't know about his impies, but his words did it. The ANC in KwaZulu-Natal has thanked Amazulu King Mzuzulu KwaZulu-Natal for providing exemplary leadership that helped shield the province from lawlessness during the 30 June. Yep, he did. He did give great leadership. And I should say, I said political party leaders. He's not a political party leader. But only he and Jordan Hill Lewis stepped forward in advance of June 30th to say something publicly, nationally. It's the only two. Only two. Cyril Ramaphosa, no, you can't count what he said in Parliament. It doesn't count. That doesn't count. He should have addressed the nation about this. Where was MK? Where was Julius Malema? Silent. Where was Action SA's Herman Mashaba? Silent. Silent on this. They didn't say squat. They did nothing. Zuma's shadow hangs over the xenophobic protest. Former President Jacob Zuma has been drawn to South Africa's xenophobic protests, with his MK party accused of aligning with organizers. Yeah, this is by Karen Duplessis, who sent it to the Africa Report. Okay, that's, for some reason, I'm not logged in, even though I'm logged in. What the hell? There we go. Okay. 3 weeks ago, Zuma told the audience that undocumented foreigners should not be defended and the country must clamp down on immigration. This is departure from his stance 15 years ago when he addressed xenophobic violence by telling Parliament South Africans immigrants should live together in peace. Of course, because Jacob Zuma is not for real. He's an opportunist. He's an exploiter, like many politicians. The shocking assassination attempt of crime intelligence boss Feroz Khan, apparently he's in the hospital, unconscious. But the Mshlanga Commission doesn't believe it. So, crime intelligence top cop Feroz Khan was shot twice Sunday night, days before he was supposed to answer questions at the Mshlanga Commission. Prior to the shooting, Khan applied for certain portions of his evidence to be heard in court, to be kept confidential. On Wednesday, his advocate asked that the application, which Commission evidence leaders slammed as one that failed to make out a case, be withdrawn until he's able to give further instructions. The advocate of crime intelligence deputy head Major General Feroz Khan says he was unconscious and nonverbal, and in response to suggestions that his shooting was staged, has invited the Mshlanga Commission to visit him in hospital. We invite the Commission, the chairperson, and all the commissioners to have access to him in hospital and speak to his medical attendants and verify and satisfy yourself that he is in fact in an extremely critical situation. Wow. Wow. So when somebody says they come from the Mshlanga Commission, you simply accept that and publicize it without question, without even seeking to establish its authenticity. You just go out there publicly and say something like this about the commission. Wow. Anyway, that's a pretty shocking thing. More on the John Steenhuisen saga, and this is from Galeb Chachela. And I'm going to read this because it's fascinating, to say the very least. This is a fascinating statement from him. It's an op-ed, and it appears in Times Live. And so I'm going to read this because he's got some key points here that are absolutely essential for you to understand and hear. So let me just talk about that very quickly. Here you go. There's a peculiar irony in watching John Steenhuisen publicly cast aspersions on lobbying activities inside the DA, raising ethical concerns about the involvement of Resolve Communications and its efforts on behalf of clients such as Starlink. And there is. Let's talk about that. Irony, because I've seen firsthand how selective Steenhuisen's principles can be. In late October 2023, while I still served in the DA's shadow cabinet, Steenhuisen convened what was described as a private meeting of senior parliamentary leadership. Deon George led the discussion at Steenhuisen's behest. The purpose was not parliamentary strategy or policy development. Instead, we were introduced to a Washington-based lobbyist, Reva Levinson, whose record in lobbying Africa is well known, who was to be retained by the DA leadership to cultivate relationships with influential lawmakers in the U.S. The objective was clear enough: to advance DA's narrative abroad, and more controversially, to encourage international scrutiny about the legitimacy and integrity of South Africa's approaching June 2024 elections. At the time, there appeared to be no ethical hesitation. No concerns about lobbyists influencing politics, no anxiety about external actors being enlisted to shape political narratives or governmental perceptions, no suggestion that the use of paid intermediaries to secure political leverage abroad somehow undermined democratic propriety. Yet today, Steenhuisen publicly questions whether it's ethical for firms such as Resolve Communications, chaired by former DA leader Tony Leon, to facilitate access between ministers and private sector interests. These allegations have sparked calls for investigations, with the ANC leading the charge. One is entitled to ask, what exactly changed? The answer may simply be that the principle changed because the politics changed. This pattern is hardly unfamiliar. I learned this personally when Steenhuisen summarily removed me from the DA's shadow cabinet, not because of incompetence, misconduct, or disloyalty, but because I refused to subordinate independent moral judgment to party orthodoxy over Gaza. Well, on this one we disagree, sir. On that issue, disagreement was not tolerated. Pluralism, supposedly central to liberal democracy, ended precisely where dissent became inconvenient. Now, in the aftermath of his own political weakening, Steenhuisen appears eager to recast himself as a victim. We are told he's a sacrificial offering by DA leader Jordan Hill-Lewis to appease internal factions increasingly sympathetic to narrower minority identity politics. Perhaps. But this too demands scrutiny. The same Steenhuisen, lamenting the influence of tribal and right-wing tendencies within the DA, once actively courted precisely those constituencies when constructing his Moonshot Pact, an electoral project explicitly designed to consolidate conservative and minority political anxieties under a single anti-ANC umbrella. When these factions served his ambition, they were allies. Now, apparently, they're extremist. Again, principle appears remarkably flexible, and we arrive at perhaps the most fascinating contradiction of all. There was, until recently, considerable speculation about Steenhuisen's increasingly uneasy relationship with the emerging leadership faction within his own party, particularly as Hill Lewis asserted greater influence over the DA's direction and internal appointments. President Cyril Ramaphosa's cabinet reshuffle this week appears, at least for now, to have resolved that tension. By accommodating the DA leadership demands and preserving the stability of the GNU, Ramaphosa has ensured the coalition survives another day, and Steenhuisen survives with it, albeit with a lesser position. Which raises an uncomfortable but entirely legitimate question. Why does a politician who has spent years defining himself through uncompromising opposition to the ANC appear so remarkably invested in preserving a government arrangement that binds his own political future to the continued goodwill of the very administration he once condemned in the harshest possible terms? Perhaps because ministerial office has its own persuasive logic, political, personal, and yes, pecuniary. One cannot help but wonder whether this newfound commitment to the preservation of the GNU is animated less by national interest than by the simple reality that power, once acquired, is seldom surrendered voluntarily. What becomes increasingly difficult to ignore is a recurring pattern. Principles are held firmly when politically useful and quietly recalibrated when personal circumstances demand adaptation. One is compelled to ask whether Steenhuisen's politics have ever been primarily ideological at all, or whether they've simply reflected the oldest instinct in political life, survival. He's a fraud. He's always been a fraud. He is a flip-flopper. That's why I call him jellyfish. This is ultimately the tragedy of contemporary South African politics. We Christians who speak the language of principle while practicing the politics of convenience. Steenhuisen is not unique in this regard. However, his current reinvention as a whistleblower, moral critic, and victim of factional intrigue would be considerably more persuasive had he not spent years perfecting the methods he now so eagerly condemns. There's an old truth in politics. Hypocrisy is not merely saying one thing and doing another. It's demanding moral accountability from others for conduct one has repeatedly justified in oneself. On that measure, Steenhuisen may be offering South Africans less a cautionary tale about the Democratic Alliance and more a cautionary tale about himself. He represents a peculiarly South African version of political hypocrisy, the cultivation of procedural virtue while practicing naked expediency behind closed doors. Chichela, a businessman and management consultant, is a former DA MP and shadow public enterprise minister and chaired De Beers, Namibia. My response, brilliant job calling out the hypocrisy of South Africa's former white agriculture minister. A vindictive, spiteful clown who levels allegations of misconduct for lobbying that is neither illegal nor unethical. The fool has dug his own political grave. There you go. John Steenhuisen. What a brilliant op-ed. An absolutely brilliant op-ed. I got to save that one. Got to save that. There we go. We saved that. That's brilliant. He admitted he lied to Trump to Brief America. Really? What did he say? Unconscious and critical. Faroz Khan's lawyers invite the Mshlanga Commission to verify that he's in the hospital. Yep. He's in the hospital. Someone claimed he was in the hospital eating jelly. That's apparently not true. The MK party is defending Jacob Zuma after he was caught in a photograph with AJ Gupta at a temple in India. Former President Jacob Zuma, convicted of contempt of court, has been photographed at a Hindu temple in northern India alongside AJ Gupta, one of the Gupta brothers who ripped off South Africa. Zuma traveled to Uttarakhand in late June, where he was seen offering prayers. Indian media reported that he was accompanied by AJ Gupta. Wow. There you go. There, once again, Zuma. The guy's got no substance. It's all about Zuma. Proof once again. Well, the couple who were famously arrested for sitting on a beach during COVID, the judge says that was constitutional, and the law enforcement had a right to arrest people for being in public spaces during COVID. They said that they were harassed because their daughter ran off the beach and they went after the daughter. Well, they've had their case dismissed and they have to eat the cost. The couple get no compensation as court dismisses COVID-19 lockdown claim. The beach-going parents were arrested at Munzenberg on the 4th of May, 2020. Western Cape Court has dismissed claims for damages brought by the parents of a 21-month-old girl against the Minister of Police and SAPS after their arrest during the COVID-19 scam. Yep. The judge ordered them to pay the costs of the minister and the police. Wow, that's heartbreaking. shows that the fascist government of South Africa can get away with its illegitimate harassment of citizens during the COVID scam. 6 years later. Farmer goes to America to provide for his family, and while he's away, tragedy strikes. Horrific. Both of those people there have now passed away. Johan Clausen lost his partner, Maritha Reeder, and their son, Liam. He was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and then passed away while his father was farming in America. She developed cancer in her leg. Later, her leg was amputated all the way up to the hip, and then she passed away. Heartbreaking. The 42-year-old Johan now doesn't have his partner of 12 years or his son. That's really sad. That's sad. Well, can Africa regulate Starlink? Pfft, go ahead. Then you won't get it. Keep starving. Stay undeveloped. Stay a bush. Starlink operates in nearly 30 African countries, often on cut-price licenses with no local entity. Faced with this expansion, regulators and governments are trying to take back control. The arrogance and cheek of Africans who develop jack shit to demand that Starlink give them equity or access to the technology developed here in America for their benefit, as if they developed it and own it. Piss off. Footsec. This is another one. Why is it doing that? I'm signed into this stupid account. It's acting like I'm not signed in. Starlink is not used to setbacks it's getting from Namibia and from South Africa, two racially hateful countries that are trying to impoverish black Africans by denying them access, by trying to get the grift and get their piece of these companies. In several of the places where it operates, Starlink has no local company at all. The firm creates very few jobs on the ground, pays for cheap licenses, and is not subject to the same obligations on hosting, reporting, and local control of its customers' data. Yeah, because it's in space, you geniuses. It's in space. The entitlement of Africans is shocking. They can piss in the wind and watch it come back on top of them. Stupid decisions. President Mutharika addresses Malawians concerning what's happening in South Africa. Malawian President Peter Mutharika returned from a private visit to South Africa Monday, using the occasion to reassure citizens his administration remains actively engaged in addressing the complex challenges facing Malawian nationals in the region. He addressed the deadline. He said he was glad he was back home, that he'd been working while away. He said he was working with the chief secretary, who's head of the Department of Disaster Management. South Africa had a series of meetings with President Ramaphosa, my brother, he's not your brother, genius, on the problems that are happening in the country, and that we work together. The deadline is not the end of this. Well, Malawi apparently going to repatriate more people from there. Oil is a curse, say villagers in Uganda. They thought they'd chase the pastoralists off their land, only to find people show up with deeds. You see, land tenure is a problem across the continent. But apparently it's only the evil white people in South Africa who've taken land from others in Africa. Please. After oil was discovered in Uganda, villagers who thought they had wrested land from pastoralists were faced with Ugandan businessmen who produced deeds for the land. A court case continues as Total Energy is slated to pursue drilling. Funny, Total did nothing for the exploration. Tullow, an Irish company, is the one that found the oil nearly 20 years ago, and they didn't make a penny off of it. For as long as Moses Asaba can remember, his family's lived in the ancestral land they call home. A resident of Bugani village in the Busi district, he speaks with a deep sense of uncertainty and frustration, no longer certain that he and his descendants will continue living there. I say the discovery of oil within our district was a curse to me and my parents because the land grabbers got interested. Yep. And oil was discovered there in Uganda in 2006 by Tullow Oil. So, like I said, land tenure, Ghana, the Congo, Kenya, Uganda, South Africa, an issue everywhere. Heavy rains are killing dozens in Ghana and Ivory Coast. The Greater Accra Regional Fire Commander Rashid Kwame Nisawu told the French press news agency that crews had rescued more than 400 people. Look at the floodwaters there in Accra. Dozens of people died after floods and landslides triggered by days of torrential rain hit capital cities of Ghana and the Ivory Coast. Crocotopia, thank you. South India should stick to their drums for email. Starlink is Western colonial tech anyway. Exactly. Local is lekker. Thank you for the 10 pounds. Right. Local is lekker. Yeah. Use runners to convey your messages. Let's see how you render that web page without Starlink. Gunmen killed 17 people in a raid in a Nigerian farming village. This is out of control. Gunmen from criminal gangs killed 17 farmers in a raid in a rural community in northwest Nigeria. Weeks into the annual rainy season, jihadists and criminal gangs have stepped up attacks on farming communities in northern central Nigeria that fail to pay levies that they impose. This is going to keep farmers off their land. They aren't going to grow crops, and people are going to go hungry because these people are extorting people for money, protection money. Shocking. Low turnout expected in Algeria's poll for the legislature. Candidate exclusions and political apathy are expected to drive low turnout. As Algerians prepare to vote today to elect a new parliament, the central question is not which parties will emerge strongest, but whether citizens will bother to rock up at all. Years after the Hirak protest movement forced eruption in Algeria's political order, the campaign has unfolded in an atmosphere marked less by competition than by widespread disengagement and mistrust. Sounds like South Africa's MISP elections. Widespread disengagement and mistrust. People not rocking up. Iran insists that the Strait of Hormuz will be told. Yeah, you can get stuffed. Comment from officials in Tehran comes as U.S. and Iranian negotiators pursue a permanent peace deal through the Qatari mediators in Doha. Well, Iran has no right to charge tolls in international waters, and that will not be tolerated. President Trump says U.S. and Iran are getting along well despite military flare-up. Well, I'm not buying that story. Trump's special envoys, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, spent a second day in Doha to discuss the peace process today with mediators from Qatar and Pakistan. They had very good meetings, and we'll see. Yeah, President Trump's credibility is sinking rapidly on Iran because the U.S. ally is proposing to team up with Iran to charge for the Strait of Hormuz. Oman, a U.S. ally, said they originally opposed the toll scheme. They've now submitted a proposal, and it's modeled on the Straits of Malacca and Singapore in Southeast Asia, where voluntary contributions are collected to ensure safe navigation. No. International waters, no tolls. And the Straits of Malacca should not be paying tolls. That's just racketeering, protection money. Taiwan ships should ignore boarding requests by the Chinese Coast Guard. I think they should simply fire on them. China's recent patrols off the east coast of Taiwan have prompted concern from the UK, France, Germany, and the United States. Taiwanese ships off the east coast should ignore boarding and inspection demands by China's Coast Guard, and the island's Coast Guard vessels will intervene to stop this from happening. I think they should fire on them. Fire on them. They're in Taiwan's waters illegally, and they're harassing international shipping. They should be fired upon. China slaps a 73.5% tariff on Canadian pea starch. Ooh, there's a fair trader there. Once again, China using protectionist measures a la the ANC to protect their marketplace and keep things out. The tariffs are being imposed following a probe launched in August of last year, saying that the Canadian pea starch was being dumped using material injury to domestic industry. The probe into pea starch has been launched on the same day China announced preliminary anti-dumping duties in Canadian canola. Wow. So, there's your friend, Ottawa. You think the Chinese are your friend? You dingbats. Carney's an idiot. Erdogan rejects Israel's Armenian genocide move. Of course he does. This fascist dictator in charge, president for life, scumbag, fake coup survivor. Erdogan dismissed an Israeli proposal to designate violence against Armenians by the Ottoman Empire during World War I as genocide and turned the accusation back on Israel by pointing to the deaths of Palestinians in Gaza. Well, the difference is the Armenians didn't launch an attack and murder innocent civilians in Ottoman Empire. The Gazans did. Big difference there, buddy. Well, Turkey is preparing for the NATO summit, rolling out sweeping security measures for the upcoming summit, deploying tens of thousands of police, and placing air defenses on high alert. Woo, yeah. It's getting exciting there. Getting exciting. July 7th and 8th, leaders from 32 member states expect to convene in the Turkish capital, including President Trump, whose threats to withdraw from NATO and reduce U.S. troop levels have cast uncertainty. That's a lie. Trump has never threatened to withdraw from NATO. These people keep lying. It's comical. Trump didn't threaten to withdraw from NATO. The media said he said that. He never said that. He threatened if they don't pay their share. That's the difference. Well, this is funny. A dumbass French politician blaming America because the French are dying from heat prostration. Blaming the U.S. air conditioning for French weather. France has been broiling in a record heat wave, yet Paris Mayor Emmanuel Grégoire declared last week that individual air conditioning is a scourge, and public authorities must act quickly to prevent a rush to install home AC units. Such attitudes have been ridiculed in the U.S. press, and prickly French politicians are now upset, we noticed. Oh my God, this is so rich, Paris Deputy Mayor Audrey Pulvar wrote online late last week, responding to the American criticism. As the second largest emitter of greenhouse gas in the world, you bear a significant responsibility for global warming and the consequences we in France are experiencing. Your cities are 90% air conditioned, are not unrelated to this. What a bunch of hot air. The reality is that no amount of French sweltering the heat will make a real dent in the global climate change because the Chinese are the ones emitting all the damn emissions. They're dumbass. Well, excuse me. The UK can stuff themselves. Nordgard, thank you for 100 Rand. Did you see SAR's new requirements for all travelers? No. What does it say? All travelers? Well, tell me what it is. Don't leave me in suspense, Nordgard. What is it? What is it? No, I didn't see it. What is it? Hang on. Okay, I didn't see that. Well, now you got us all in suspense. I didn't see that. What are they doing? They're just trying to fleece money from people. Yeah, thank you. It's on SAR's website. You may have missed I'm doing the news. And then I have a broadcast at the top of the hour. Why do people do that? Thank you for the super chat. It's on the site. Why don't you just tell me? The British government is considering whether to prevent the $110 billion merger that could affect media plurality. Screw you, UK. I have shares in Warner Brothers. You can go to hell. You can go to hell. You're trying to prevent my retirement funds from growing. This is an American company. Go to hell. Denmark is urging the International Olympic Committee to recognize Greenland and the Faroe Islands as independent Olympic teams. Oh, look, suddenly the colonizers from Denmark are the paragons of virtue standing up for the little Faroe Islands and Greenland. Please. Has she even been to the Faroe Islands? I have. Denmark asked the International Olympic Committee to recognize its territories, Greenland and Faroes, as independent Olympic teams. Revival of a long-standing Olympic proposal previously made 20 years ago comes weeks after Danish Prime Minister formed a new coalition. She's pledged support for Greenland against Trump's wish to acquire the island. The IOC recognized 206 national Olympic bodies, which is 13 more than the UN member states. The Faroe Islands has competed in qualifying games for international soccer tournaments since 1992 and 1994. Two biathletes from Greenland competed for Denmark at the Cortina Olympics in February. So there were 2 Olympians from Greenland and none from the Faroes. But this is what she's doing. This is just virtue signaling. They don't care about people in the Faroes who are actually Nordic or the people in Greenland who are primarily Inuit. They don't care. It's just virtue signaling to draw attention to her pathetic government. Well, Paraguay's victory over Germany in the round of 32 has cost ticket scalpers and FIFA a ton of money. Wow. The cheapest ticket at that game was $444. But the game that was supposed to be France versus Germany, the ticket scalpers and FIFA are losing money because the cheapest price to get in before Paraguay upset the not German team, comprised of people not from Germany, was $3,194. That dropped to $965 yesterday. Nobody wants to watch Paraguay play France. The price went from $3,200 to $900, and it's still going down at this hour. Nobody wants those tickets. Congo's beating England. I would love to see that. It just started an hour ago. Okay. Well, the Europeans have been suffering under a heat dome, but welcome to the heat dome, America. It's not Thunderdome. It's not beyond Thunderdome. It's not Mad Max. It's here in America now. Oh, yeah, temperature's rising. It's warm outside. Let's see what temperature is right now. What is the current temperature? Oh, Congo's winning 1-0 at the 45-minute mark. Yep, well, you go. There you go. What's the current temperature? 92 degrees. Well, that's not hot yet. It's supposed to get hotter. So this is what we're supposed to see for today. Danger, 103 to 125. That's the feeling. That's not the actual temperature. And you can see that I'm right in the band on the East Coast. It runs up from Virginia through Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and up the East Coast. Hot, hot, hot. Me soul on fire singing hot, hot, hot. Yes, it is hot. Oh, well, what are you going to do? Stay out of the weather. Some people work outdoors. They don't have any choice. The Supreme Court has handed down a rebuke to American citizens and a betrayal of this nation and a false reading of the 14th Amendment and the documents and letters of all those who proposed the amendment. Children born to criminals are guaranteed U.S. citizenship. Wow. Supreme Court forcefully affirmed America's guarantee of automatic citizenship to persons who are dropped on our soil, anchor babies, ruling against President Trump's attempt to change it. The court's majority said the Constitution was clear when it granted citizenship to all persons born naturalized in the subject jurisdiction thereof. And that includes children of illegal immigrants or temporary legal visitors. No, it doesn't. And it's not clear. That is not what it says. That is not what the 14th Amendment says. The court has betrayed America yet again. This strange court, which rules one way then completely opposite on virtually the same issue, is out of control. A judge blocks a Virginia law barring ICE agents from wearing masks. Well, Virginia has no right to legislate federal officials, so they should have simply ignored this. Virginia law prohibiting federal immigration agents from wearing masks is likely unconstitutional. The mask identity statute directly regulates the conduct of federal law enforcement in the enforcement of federal immigration laws in violation of the U.S. Constitution's Supremacy Clause. That's what I've said all along. I've said that all along. Minnesota, all these bullshit artists, that's a violation of the Supremacy Clause. Annette Guy Boat says, apologies for idiots South Africa. You deserve nothing but respect. Much love and appreciation. Thank you for the 70 Rand. Appreciate that. U.S. job openings have risen again to a 2-year high. Wow, but I thought the economy was terrible. But hiring is struggling. People aren't getting hired, but jobs are being created. Job openings increased to 9,000 more. There are 7,594,000 posted job openings in this country. Wow. 7,594,000 jobs begging for workers. There are over one job for every unemployed person. What does that tell you? People aren't qualified, people are lazy, people are incapable, people are unwilling to work. Combination of things. Socialists score another major win as Malat Kiros topples 15-term demon rat Diana DeGetta in Colorado. Another Democratic Socialist retard has been elected. Democratic Socialists achieved a fresh set of bragging rights after Malat Kiros unseated 15-term Diana DeGette in Colorado's 1st Congressional District, the latest sign the party's left flank is increasingly willing to topple its own establishment. It wasn't even close. She beat DeGette by 10 points. It ends her 3-decade run in Congress and underscores how strongly Democratic Socialist America-aligned candidates have become in deep blue districts. I think it's time we start showing the Democratic Socialist America's conference and how stupid these people are. They're not serious. Remember that? Point of order, point of order. Please stop clapping. I'm hearing it. It hurts my feelings. Remember that? We played that many, many times. Well, the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal are obsessed about the fact that President Trump's personal wealth has increased. Well, most Americans who invest soundly have had their personal wealth increase since he became president. My retirement accounts have grown. In fact, they've soared a bit, thank goodness. I don't draw from them, but maybe one day they'll be there and I'll draw from them. President Trump made more than $1 billion on crypto deals. Good for him. He's not managing his affairs, so whoever's managing doing a good job. President Trump's forays into cryptocurrency delivered him a windfall of more than $1 billion last year, according to the latest financial disclosure. Trump and his family invested heavily in crypto during the first year of his second term. That's a lie. President Trump didn't invest anything. President Trump did not invest anything. His executors did. He earned $635 million in royalties through an entity linked to the Trump meme coin, which launched just days before his inauguration, and more than $500 million in proceeds from token sales to the World Liberty Financial, Trump's flagship crypto venture. He also won $86.5 million in legal settlements, include $25.5 million from Meta and $16 million from Paramount and Disney. Also in the stock market, his biggest holdings were Amazon, Meta, Nvidia, and Tesla. And he has a vast business empire. So good on Trump, showing once again that he knows what he's doing, even though people are managing his assets. He got a bunch of assets that were the right ones. The Crazy Horse Monument, folks, in Mount Rushmore. Could be the world's largest statue one day, but it is taking decades to get there. You can see still a long way to go. The image on the left is what it's supposed to be, but it's not there yet. Well, the egg price fixing scandal. Remember this? They tried to saddle this on Donald Trump saying, oh, the price of eggs are still $9 a carton, 7 days after he became president. Now we find out not only was it the execution of 60 million hens that were laying eggs by the Biden administration over a fake bird flu scandal, but it was also price fixing by the 3 largest egg producers in America. It's time for prosecution. Executive texts and emails showed effort to sway the market. On December 19, 2022, executives from America's 3 biggest egg producers got on a call. The subject, how to keep egg prices high. With Christmas a few days away, the chief executive of Arizona-based Hickman's Egg Ranch had an idea how to push an industry benchmark for eggs higher. As a group, we need to bid like they vote in Chicago, early and often. Wow. So this is a complaint filed in federal court in Iowa against these scumbags for colluding as a cartel to keep egg prices high. I hope they all go to jail. The United States added 1,200 millionaires a day last year. Soaring financial markets are a big reason Americans make up nearly half the world's new millionaires. Countries with the most billionaires, the United States has 23,600,000 millionaires. Ladies and gentlemen, that's about 7% of America is a millionaire. Oh, wealth disparity. My ass. 7%. Less than 0.1% of Americans were millionaires a century ago. America knows how to manufacture millionaires. Look at that. 23.6 million. The closest behind us is China with 5.3 million. Over 440,000 people, or more than 1,200 a day, became millionaires in the U.S. last year. The number of millionaires globally rose, reaching record levels. More than 23.6 million Americans now worth 7 figures or more. The fastest growing segment globally, rising at a 7.3% clip of the past 5 years, were those with 50 to 100 million in wealth. Yeah. Anyway, I got more news, but that's going to be it. Also, I have insurance information, cheap, inexpensive insurance for people who've come over here recently that are buying cars and need to register them. I'll cover that in either Night Owls. I'll probably cover that tonight at Night Owls, and maybe I'll talk about it again tomorrow if I remember. But thank you all for being here. Be sure to hit the like button. I'll be on with Ronaldo in just a couple of minutes. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for listening to my comments about the person who just keeps writing me and can't stop digging their own grave. Where's it at? There we go. It's out. We'll be with Ronaldo in just a couple minutes, okay? All right, be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done already. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Thank you to those who gave super chat revenue. Thanks for your news and patience, weirdos. Yeah, Joan, there's a lot of them. All right, attention seekers. See you guys shortly with Ronaldo. God bless. Cheers.